Oh yeah. There's another bathroom downstairs if you want to walk all the way downstairs.
Well, it's going to take you about 15 minutes to talk to me. How long do you got? Right. How we doing,
That's so
John?
funny.
Thank you, John.
Did you start the video, John?
Dude, I hope
Yeah.
these doors,
Oh, yeah, you're live.
Oh, okay.
These doors are compliant. I don't want to scratch none of your
fuck those.
It's either that or whip it out, bro. It's that or whip it out.
All right, welcome. We are trying something new tonight, which is me not logging into Facebook with my cat's profile, because I discovered yesterday that I can actually go live on my iPad and still be logged into my Facebook. So we are good to go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. It is Tuesday night, and we are about to have a great show. If you guys can hear me, write some comments, say hello. Is the mic working? We were fussing with too much stuff yesterday when we went live as well. So pop in and come say hi. Hat forward. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Hope you guys had 1/8 as much fun as I did, because if you had 1/2 as much fun as I did this weekend, you're probably still laying in bed eating ibuprofen and drinking water, which is what you should be doing. The reason I say that is because it was my 30th birthday this weekend, and we did the term Dirty 30 a whole lot of service this weekend. Friday night, we were out at the Monkey Bar. Thank you guys so much for coming out. I know that you didn't know that it was my birthday when you came out, and that's what makes it that much more special, is you came out anyways. But Chris Morris, who decided not to go, came out for my birthday. Appreciate that. Taylor Pulliam, thanks for all the pizzas. Brett, good to see you. Michael Meathy, good to see you as well. Ronnie, thank you so much for all the drinks you bought me all weekend. You really tried to ruin my life, and you are a very competent friend in that way. And as well as Adam Noon, hanging out there all night. We did our Dirty 30s together, Adam, and we're going to pull it in together for the rest of the year. Also, I do want to make a special shout out to Anthony Johnson, who is an MTFU member of ours, who is also one of my clients. Wanted to contract us this weekend. We had a couple of celebratory drinks with Anthony as well on Friday night. Love you, bro. You're a great guy, and so happy to be working with you, my brother. So it was a good time. Saturday night was my actual birthday, and I got a bit of work done in the morning, and then I had a fantastic night. I was privileged enough to go out on a date with a beautiful woman whose good looks are the only things that surpass her charm and charisma. So that was a fun night. And then all of my friends showed up after that, who checked the charm and charisma at the door to try to destroy my life with whiskey shots at the Spokane Comedy Club. If you haven't been there, it was actually an amazing night as well. Daniel Sloss was performing, and he's from Scotland.
Yes.
Scotland? He's from Scotland. Yep. And it was a really great show as well. And then we went out and played foosball, and I think someone had to point out to me that it was 6 o'clock in the morning. So by the time I went to bed, so that was a good weekend. And then on Sunday, we had a nice bonfire out of my house. We did tree shots, which means you climb a tree and then take shots. So real class. We're practicing for mountaineer school, as you know how it goes. And that's been a good time as well. So thanks for tuning in. Last thing we did was Money Monday with Adam Noon. If you tuned in yesterday, we kind of covered the Home Buying 101 on Adam Noon's show. It was a good show, and we got a chance to chat with each other a little bit, and so I really appreciate Adam having me on his show and us being able to hash out some stuff. I know we covered just the basics of it. If you do have some more questions, feel free to shoot me or Adam a PM. And that's what happened in the past. And then what's happening in the future? This weekend is St. Patrick's Day. I'm going to be gone. I'm going to be mountaineering on Mount Spokane until at least 1 or 2 or 3 p.m. on Sunday. I'll be down after that. I'll be logging back into Facebook after that, and I'll see where you guys are at. Maybe I can come down and give some people a ride home or anything like that if you want. But for those of you guys that are going out and having fun for St. Patrick's Day, please be responsible. Do not drink and drive. We have 100 brothers in the group that are willing to drive you around all day on St. Patrick's Day. So make no risks in that direction, because we've got your back with the DD chat. The next most important thing going on is the Roxy in Hilliard. We are having MTFU second year reunion party at the Roxy in Hilliard. That's on Saturday, March 30th at 6 p.m. We're doing a lot of cool stuff that night. It's going to be the first time we're doing an MTFU stand-up comedy special event. We are doing the MTFU Classic Roast Battle that weekend, so that's going to be absolutely insane. The entire event is being put on and organized by Taylor Pulliam, the master of our organization, and he is being hosted by none other than yours truly. Roastmaster Lee himself, also in the building with Roastmaster Drew, the bartender out at the Monkey Bar in the Valley. Him and I are going to be making fun of legitimately everybody at the same time, but we do have a certain people getting roasted. None other than Chris Morse, Dustin Fedak, Ty Johnson, and John Marbury are all going to walk out of that place with their hearts on flame. And roasting is Taylor Pulliam, Dusty Stark, Jerry Smith, also Chris Morse. Chris Morse is roasting and being roasted. I'm looking forward to the Chris Roasts Chris segment. That's going to be a good one. Also, Rick Clark and Keith Carpenter. So, despite the fact that I said a bunch of names, we're probably going to yell at a bunch of other people's names at the same time as well. So that's on the 30th, Saturday, March 30th, coming up at 6 p.m. Buy your tickets. They're $10 on fpsix.com. That's .com. So I'm sure that's been posted 1,000 times somewhere. I'm sorry, I haven't actually been on Facebook as much as I should have been in the past couple days because my friends are competent individuals at getting me drunk. So that's what's happened in the past, and that's what's happening in the future. Happening in the present, I'm very excited because we have a great show tonight. I've got a really good friend of mine in the building, and the majority of the people that I've had on this show have been people that I have gone out and reached out to and said, hey, I'd like you to come on the show. And we are now having a guest on the show who has reached out to me and said, I really want to come on the show. I was super excited about that because I know there's going to be a great energy in the room and there's going to be a really good story coming out of my man whose name is Anthony Horn. Come on to the show, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yep.
Don't you worry about that. We gonna back it up.
He's coming around the way. He just discovered that my doorway is not wide enough to fit both of those
that's
wheels.
not code, Lee.
I'm sorry, his shoulders couldn't fit through the doorway because he's all built.
Bust out of my shirt here, my man.
Dude, thank you so much for coming on tonight, brother. This is the microphone that both of us hear into. For some reason, I don't get the impression that you're going to be the person that we can't hear in the microphone.
Absolutely not. I'm gonna speak up.
Thank you so much for coming tonight, bro.
Thank you for having me.
We just had some pizzas.
Hey, straight like that. Good beer, great pizza, good energy. I appreciate your hospitality.
Absolutely, brother.
Thank you.
I appreciate
love
you
everything
coming
that
out.
you're doing. I appreciate everything that you are, man.
Absolutely, man. I just got to watch Anthony walk up the staircase in the front of my house, which is really impressive because, I don't know, it's really easy to see the dedication in your eyes when you want to accomplish something like this, bro.
Right, but what they don't see is those hard times. You know, it's different when I'm posting everything on Facebook, the progress and those videos that I get to choose, but when somebody gets to hang out with me or gets to see it firsthand, it's a different experience.
Isn't that one of the classic problems of Facebook?
Oh, absolutely.
Like everybody only always posts just the great things in their life.
Absolutely. And that's why I make sure that I'm vulnerable on there, you know. If I got a picture of me crying and I caught a moment of inspiration or something that I felt enough to drive the waterworks or me felling on some of my videos, like I tried to climb a rope the other I think it was last week, and I got like maybe halfway up that thing, my foot got hung up on the wheelchair and I come crashing down. Like that's the most embarrassing thing, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like being a man and
But you're not afraid to post that.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. You can't, you know, there's a authenticity that allows people to be able to do the same thing once they see somebody else displaying it. We all try to hide behind the own confines of our mind and our ego and
Of course.
what we think we want people to see.
I mean, I do the same thing as well. I mean, even if you just look at my Facebook, it's just pictures of me accomplishing a hike or doing something crazy. It takes a certain special person to post the things that make you vulnerable.
Man.
What is the reason that you do that?
Well, I would have to say that it's this whole entire logo.
Really?
MTFU. You know what I'm saying? That means, depending on the setting, man the up or man the family
Man
up,
the
depending
family
on
up.
who's asking.
I
You know
can't
what I'm
swear
saying?
for Lent, so it's man the family up for 6 weeks.
We'll keep it there. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, for me, that's what a man does.
Yeah.
He shows his vulnerability. He shows his authenticity. And in that, he gets to teach somebody. You know, it says, each one that you reach, try to teach one. And if we could show each other how to be authentic and show emotion, which we all have, we're all human beings. We're stuck in this fleshly body fighting against the spirit. And that's in that web of emotions and that tangle of thought that wants to tell you to quit, give up, or show this because somebody's going to take advantage of you or somebody might think you're weak or afraid or scared.
Sure.
But hell, we're all afraid. We're all weak. We're all scared.
We all have them. And isn't there an
all have
element of
that.
empowerment when you finally do confront elements of your own weakness
Oh, absolutely.
and you're able to show other people that?
Absolutely.
And don't when we show those elements of weakness to others, we wind up receiving a lot more understanding than we thought we were going to.
Key word, understanding.
Yeah.
And that's the way we grow as people, as individuals, as a city, as a community.
And that's honestly one of the biggest reasons that this group was created in the first place.
That's what I love. I respect everything that Chris Morse, these heavy guys in this group, like the Rick Clarks. I mean, the list goes on. I could sit here and name drop all
Sure,
day.
yeah,
but,
absolutely.
You know, the people that are making an impact are definitely felt.
Closer to the mic is one comment.
Absolutely,
That's all.
absolutely. The people that are felt the most are the people that are making the most noise and impact and showing their vulnerability. I seen a post the other day that Chris Moore shared on some politics that were going on within the group and different things in the community. Like the gentlemen were some of the guys were wearing some of the apparel in the wrong setting.
Right.
And that's just a hard situation.
Sure.
You know, one man's, I would say, lack of understanding and self-awareness to what that logo may represent or bring
Sure.
into a setting like that
Sure.
cause a whole nother uproar.
Yeah.
But, you know,
But at the same time, that's also how we grow as a group.
absolutely.
And when we address those issues with maturity and coherence,
Absolutely.
we can prevent them from happening again.
Absolutely. And that's what I love.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I stand for in my stand. Because who knows if I'm ever going to actually walk again or get the full capabilities that I once had.
So let's jump into this
yeah,
topic
dude.
and let me just kind of
Let's
provide
go,
a
dude.
little bit of
Let's go.
structure into what we're going to do
sir.
here
Yes,
tonight.
sir.
This show I created to give people a very personal voice into telling their own story.
Absolutely.
So I want to know a few things from you. I want to start with how you were when you grew up, where you were born, and all that stuff.
absolutely.
I want to hear about what happened to you, and I
Sure.
want to hear about how you met MTFU.
Absolutely.
And I want to preface this by saying
Absolutely.
something first. This, in MTFU, we remove politics from the page. We remove religion from the page.
Absolutely.
But my living room is not the Facebook page wall of MTFU.
absolutely.
So I want you to feel comfortable talking about any topic you want.
Absolutely.
If you disagree with anything I say, or if you disagree with anything Anthony Horn says, and you hold separate beliefs, I would challenge you not to post your opinions on why you disagree on these message boards, but instead be brave enough to come sit in this chair right here, or a chair that doesn't have Anthony's wheels on it, and tell your story instead.
Absolutely.
So, Anthony, first question up
sir.
to you.
Yes, sir.
Where were you born?
Spokane, Washington.
Right here?
Yes, sir.
I love meeting Spokane locals.
Man, November 20th, 1984, 6:22 a.m. to be specific.
Yeah, bro.
Which means my mama was an early bird.
Yeah.
And so am I, but I hate it. But yeah,
You seem to have a lot of love for this city.
I do. I love the city. It just gets such a bad rep. And that's because of the people that give it the bad rep. You know, I was one of those. You know, I started off, I mean...
What was your childhood like? Do you have a strong family?
Absolutely. You know, I grew up, like I said, I'm 34 years old. I'm an 80s baby. I'm the last little bit of that era that had a certain way of living. You know, when I was young, everybody was out. You could light fireworks outside of your doorstep. Your neighbors could spank you. Not only that, your teachers could snatch you up and it wasn't a problem.
Sure.
You know, I feel like the community in America at that time was really, really strong. The values that were instilled in me are a lot different than I'm seeing now. You know, I went to Trent Elementary, which is out in the valley, and that was a wonderful time, a great experience. I was definitely a busybody and off the walls. I had ADD, which at that time, you know, they didn't really know too much about it.
That was kind of back in the day before people really diagnosed it properly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So for me, you know, a lot of my days spent bouncing off the walls and enjoying life and just super excited and a busybody, and nobody really knew why. I'd get sat down and have to write a lot of sentences and act out in class and everything that came with that. And you know, that I think the experience that I had to go through with that situation, my mother not fully knowing how to address it, she wanted to put me on meds and whatnot. She's tried that one time, but
At the time, it was Ritalin, right?
yeah, it was Ritalin,
Which has been proven to be wildly ineffective nowadays.
Super ineffective.
Yeah.
And that had me just complete opposite of living life. I was a zombie. I wasn't doing much, so she just decided to throw me deeply into sports.
Were your parents together?
My mother and my father split up when we were young. I was about 3 years old. My brother was 2.
Yeah.
Then we had a stepdad that's been there our whole entire life.
Do you still know your dad?
Oh, absolutely. I'm just now finally building a relationship with him, as that I've kind of got out my own way and was able to put myself in his shoes and understand some of the family dynamics that he had to go through that shaped his values and perceptions of life that allowed him to judge me as his son.
Right.
As confusing as it was as of me being his son and couldn't understand these things that I was going through and couldn't understand why I was getting treated like that from my father. Now that I'm a man and I'm gaining understanding, I get that he was just as lost and confused.
And a father.
How
many kids do you have?
I got 2.
Two of them. Two boys, right?
Nope. I got a 14-year-old daughter. Her name's Larea. I got an 8-year-old son. His name is Isaiah.
Isaiah was the one, if you were at the Bouncy Castle party,
Absolutely.
Isaiah was
With
the
the
one
crazy hair.
who stole my sunglasses.
Yes, he did.
He stole Luscious Lee's
Yes,
golden
he did.
shades.
Yes, he
I've
did.
never seen a faster 8-year-old in my entire life. That fool can duck a table and someone's legs simultaneously.
Straight like that.
Oh my God.
And he was blowing up. You should have seen him dancing.
I was like, I gotta go back on stage. Those glasses are a
He
wash.
was hanging, dancing. Hey, and my man held all that. He didn't skip a beat.
Right.
But yeah, man. And so to deal with the ADD and all that extra stuff, my mom just decided to dive me into sports. My stepdad, that's been around since I can remember, he comes from a sports background, a military background, and he was able to instill that discipline and that hard work and grit. He would run mini drills with us and coaching any of the little league programs that we did. And he grew up in that strong alpha male family coming from a military background, which was a generation before mine, which was even a tougher generation. That
Sure.
There was no back down, there was no crying.
Sure.
When they said man up, that was because you were either crying or weak and you want to get up and fight through that.
Yeah, it was like a castle wall of masculinity.
Straight.
It wasn't an option really. At that
No, it
point
wasn't
in
an
time.
option.
Yeah.
But which I thank God for, because that I could take the essence from those experiences and add them into my daily life when I do want to quit. Like, I look for it as not an option, because with my situation, things become very difficult, and my tenacity growing up and what's been instilled in me allowed me to push through those weak moments. And I carried on. We moved to the north side of Spokane from the valley, and I ended up going to Finch Elementary, finish off 5th and 6th grade. Then I went to Glover and Shadle and played football for Shadle. And
What position were you in football?
I was running back. I was tailback.
Nice.
And then punt return.
That's such an athletic position.
Kick return, basketball, shooting guard.
You must have loved it, huh?
Oh, I did. I was a pitcher in baseball. I mean, my peers that know me, they'll be able to, vouch for the athlete that I was. But, I did it with the discipline that was instilled for me from a man that was dealing with what was instilled to him. And I didn't appreciate it. I was a real cocky dude.
Sure.
I had the natural given ability and, my athletics and my look or my charm or, whatever. But I never really understood the essence, enough to appreciate it for what it was.
Mm-hmm.
That's why this wreck, I believe, was nothing more than an accident other than an act of God to wake me up and steer me on a path that I can be successful and useful in.
So take us through your life up until the point that you got in an accident.
Well,
What was life like?
Man,
in like end of high school, college
man,
days.
Man,
Did you go to college?
I did. I went to SEC with a good idea, but I mean, we're talking about the freshman stud sat at the pool table with all the seniors, playing ball and getting recognized for all the accolades, where I'm not learning any essence.
You're also kind of an exotic person in Spokane because there's not many ethnic people in Spokane whatsoever. So.
At all, especially at my time.
Instantly,
especially,
he's a black freshman. He's definitely allowed to sit at our table.
Straight up, and they let me.
Yeah.
They would literally pass my classes so I could play ball.
I mean, it's
know what I'm
funny. It's a
saying?
joke, but at the same time,
Yeah.
it's like
It's
in
real.
Spokane, it's real. Yeah,
It's real, and that just developed me an attitude, which thinking that okay, as long as I'm performing, at least I'm looking a certain way, then I can get what I want.
Sure.
So that transferred into girls and to
Right.
life and
Just like building a self-image of yourself.
a self-image
yeah.
that I valued myself on the opinions of others around me.
Of course.
The affection that I got from girls, or the attention that I got hanging out with these cool guys and overlooking the people that just desperately wanted my attention and love and acknowledgement that I didn't give it to. I mean, I wasn't a bully, but I was real inconsiderate of people in their space. Or if I'm playing ball and I'm dancing on you, I'm spinning on you, I score on you, then I'm talking trash the whole time while I'm doing it.
Sure,
you know what I'm
sure,
saying?
of
Not
course.
really understanding the skill that goes behind it and the hard
Right.
work that it takes, because it came so easy.
Maybe less
So,
suave, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And that probably gives you a lot of appreciation. I, for one, have a lot of appreciation for professional athletes that wind up being able to have humility as well.
Absolutely. You have to. Humility
Yeah.
is the biggest thing. Humility is the one thing that will keep ego in check, because ego seeks to destroy. And in my view, that means edging God out. That's what ego stands for me.
Edging God out. Oh, that's great. I've stolen that.
take that right now, because low key, I stole it. Tony Murray, I love you if you see this. My guy. Tony Murray, shit like that. I like that.
That's great. So yeah.
So no, a lot of that shaped my value, especially junior high school. Brought me into my young adult years, because after all the glitz and glamour at Shuttle Park that I was experiencing, once sophomore year came around, my grades were slipping. I was going to parties, hanging out with seniors and dating senior girls, and just thinking that I was that guy. I thought that my stuff didn't stink at all. I thought that my shit didn't stink. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course.
And then I lived a life of just doing what I wanted, saying what I wanted. I didn't care. I was real inconsiderate. And then I had my daughter, and
How old were you?
I was, let's see here, she was born in 2005, so around that
19?
time, 19, just going on 20. And
Was that intentional?
yes, it was, because the mother of my children, her name is Mallory, and we actually went to junior high together in high school, but we are just completely different spectrums of the board. She
yeah.
just was a goody two shoes,
Sure.
smarty pants, did her thing in school, and
Isn't it funny how those two types attract?
Yeah, absolutely, and especially that there was so much space in between. Because I remember seeing her and having an interest for her, but every time I approach her, she's like, "No way, dude, you're a bad boy. You're wilding out here. We know what's going on."
Have you seen the show Sex Education on Netflix?
I haven't.
Okay,
I
so
haven't.
there is a great show called Sex Education on Netflix,
Okay.
and it really illustrates this whole thing that you're talking
Yeah.
about. It's kind of cool. You can watch it later. But
Absolutely,
sorry,
I will.
I digress. Yeah, I
I
digress.
definitely will. No, it's all
cool.
good, because I'm thirsty for knowledge, and I look for answers from some of the dumb stuff I did.
Yeah, of course.
So, time goes by. We went to junior high together, and we went to high school, but, I've always had an eye for her, but our crowds were so different that there was never no space for us to do our thing. And then I ended up going to Job Corps because I messed up at Shadle. Ego went to the head, crashed all my dreams, everything I was fighting for, and everything I wanted to do. And once I got kicked out of Shadle from a lot of BS I won't even get into, that's a whole story on its own. I ended up going to LC and trying out for their basketball team and football team, and didn't make it. And I don't think my spirit was in it after I left Shadle, and I started hanging out with the wrong crowd, getting involved in, drinking, smoking weed, selling weed. And that just brought a path of destruction that was really spiraling my life out of control. And I ended up having a wake-up call, through family and friends, and just seeing the direction I was heading in. I ended up going to Job Corps, which was a wonderful experience, because I really got to instill some values, and had a couple good teachers there and counselors there that really helped me get through the things that I've been through growing up, and that led me to that point that allowed me to build a future when I left. Safe to say, again, my ego got in the way, and I'm doing good there, and I'm kicking butt. And then I start trying to control the steering wheel in the best way I seen fit.
Sure.
That led me to getting kicked out earlier than my graduation date, and I got a partial completion in masonry. concrete, plastering, general construction. Got my GED there, and I come home, and it was hard because I really wanted to graduate and I really wanted to see this thing all the way through, and I didn't get that chance to. So once I got that partial completion, I went home. I made it a vow to, work and try to build something for myself, and I started doing that. Started at telemarketing jobs, excelling in some sales position jobs, and that's where I reconvened with Mallory. Is at one of the jobs that I had, and we had the chance to get to know each other through working there, and things worked out, and we were able to have two beautiful children together. But as if that wasn't enough, and being able to be a man and do the right thing, because I was working and paying bills and take care of my children, I got complacent. Life started to get real comfortable, and I just started to go with the flow. And
I've always thought that complacency is the most dangerous of all human emotions.
Man,
Yeah.
devil's playground, man.
It's the worst. Complacency is like the snake in the grass almost, because
So much.
you miss all of the important things in your life.
Absolutely.
If you're complacent and you're just happy enough to not work any harder, but you're just kind of sitting back on riding on the seat of your pants, that's when you'll lose your soul, in my opinion.
Absolutely, and I
That's
did.
when you lose your drive.
Dude, I did.
What?
I
Mic
did.
check?
Mic check?
Wait.
Sorry, that just popped up.
No, it's all good. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Keep it straight. We're
Can
here
you
for
guys
y'all.
throw a comment on the board if
Yeah.
you can hear us or if it's
Yeah.
not working?
Could you hear us? What we need to do?
We'll just wait. We'll take a beer break.
Yeah, real talk.
Break.
What's up? Are you going? Are you going? My man.
You're 30, bro.
Yes, sir.
Is it working, guys? Are we working?
And are you live?
Yeah, we are live. Yeah, I can see it on my computer. It just
Dude, I brought the
I
charge
can hear. Okay, we're good.
in my
good.
backpack.
We're good.
Yeah, we're good.
You better tap back here.
Okay, cool. Yes. Sorry. Well, we are back from intermission.
Beer break.
Yo.
The concession stand is open in the kitchen.
Absolutely.
All items free.
Good pizza.
Good pizza in the kitchen. Yes. So you've just finished college,
No, Job Corps.
apprentice school.
Job Corps, apprentice school.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And moved on to meeting my junior high school sweetheart. In my mind, at least, she didn't know it yet. It took a lot of hard work to get her to believe the dream that I had. We're all dreamers. We start with an idea until it turns into reality, which is the progress that we build to get there.
What was your idea? Like, who did you picture that you were going to be when you were at this age?
Honestly,
Because at some point in life, in high school, you probably want to be a pro athlete,
absolutely.
Because everybody
Absolutely.
did. I thought I was going to be a professional
Man,
catcher.
look, man,
I still think I'm Buster Posey every once in a while.
I feel that. Yeah, I did. I promise. I promised my aunties, my daddy, my mother, all them houses, and they seen me playing being a professional athlete and all of that. But at the same time, I feel like it was someone else's dreams. I was just blessed with the given ability, but
Sure.
my heart was never fully into that.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
What distracted you?
I would honestly just say that my family's way of living and their conditioning and what they thought was best for them through me is what distracted me.
Yeah.
I was trying to live what they seen me to be and what they wanted me to be.
Which is a classic parenting problem across the board, right?
absolutely. Like I was super into art and music, like guitars and instruments. But
Did you feel like you had to kind of quiet those interests?
I did. I absolutely did, because my stepdad, like I said, we grew up watching him play sports, and he grew up doing that, and in the military family, and he wanted to pass down his essence into us that may have not been our full destiny.
Does it feel almost sometimes like modern parenting is trying to make your child the version of yourself that you wanted to be?
Absolutely. And that's why, for me, what I preach to my children so hard, don't be me. Don't be me. I want my children to be able to be free to express themselves through their sports or their passions or any of their ideas. I don't hold them back from expressing themselves. I don't let them spend too much time on the phone. I'll definitely share some of the essence that I grew up with, independence-wise, to think further than what's right there in front of them.
Sure.
We've become such a technological age that makes us compete with ourselves, not even the person next to us. You know, we're drip fed what a person should look like, how a person should act through the social media and the mainstream media that's on TV. And, you know, for me, that just casts doubt and fear and doesn't allow one to be their true individual self. And that's what I want to do to my kids.
Totally.
You know, my son, he's the softest, gentle giant that you'll ever meet.
Fastest little thief we know.
Fastest little thief that you know at the same time. But I'm going to let him be a good man and decide his own path.
Yeah,
you know, I'm
of
not
course.
going to push sports on him just because I was so talented at it.
Sure.
I want him to do that. My daughter, you know, she's 14 years old and she's like a reflection in a pond in which I was throwing stones. All my bad ideas and all my transgressions just came back to smack me in the face.
Totally.
Everything that I was displaying and teaching as a father before this accident were instilled in her, and now she hides behind what she thinks people think of her and how she should act and what she should be, and she goes along with the social norm, and she's very confused. But the 16 months that I had clean off pain pills, heroin, meth, anything that'll make you feel good underneath the sun that can take me away from my
When did
body.
you get into that?
Well,
Because that just popped
we
up
skipped
like
that.
like a prairie dog. Right
Yeah, I hear you. So we're going back to coming up off the high school days, and
But that's important
Yeah,
because
that's
one of the bigger
absolutely,
victories in your
absolutely.
life is not
that's true. That
being addicted to the epidemic of the United States right now.
Absolutely, that's true. And it started with this accident. You know, well, no, I can't. That'd be a lie. That'd be a lie. That's what's become muscle memory. What I like to tell.
Sure.
But in hindsight,
Because this is a space, honestly, and I know it's not always comfortable to do this, but this is a space where you get to confront your own
absolutely,
story.
and that's
right?
what I want to do. You know, addiction has plagued my family for many, many, many years. As well as they did trying to hide that from us, their actions show different. And as children, we're like a sponge, and we soak up what we see, not what we hear.
Right.
And some of those things just transgression to me. I started with alcohol, drinking very early to confront my demons. I remember getting the first little sip probably at 10 years old. Even younger than that, really. Me and my brothers snuck into a bottle of Mad Dog when we were about 4 and 5 years old. And
Great place to start.
bouncing off the walls. And our parents liked to hang out. It was okay to leave the kids at home with the babysitter or each other because they thought that we were okay enough to handle it. You know what I'm saying? They didn't know better. They were kids having kids.
Sure.
And, you know, that led its own legacy of problems. But I think when it really started was after leaving Shadle. I went to a summer school trying to stay in Shadle, and I got introduced to Cortisone, which was a cough and cold medicine for people with high blood pressure that would just give you a crazy trip if you ate a lot of them. And I did that, and it kind of opened up a gateway that allowed me to escape reality. And I think that kicked off the gear of that addiction, leaning on something that could take me away from the physical reality of life. You know, I've been to more funerals than I've been to weddings in my life.
Say it again. You've been to
I've been to more funerals than I've been to weddings.
more funerals than I have weddings.
I've been to more funerals than I've been to weddings.
Yeah.
Direct family contact through violence or addiction. My best friend in 2009 lost his life in driving his vehicle back to my house. He was drinking, got into a fight with his family, and just wanted to get out of there and go to a place where he thought he was safe and comfortable at, and spent too much time trying to get there and intoxicated, and fate so happened to get him clipped in rear end, and he was ejected out of the seat and got a leg almost severed, and he ended up dying Christmas Day. He ended up dying Christmas Day. The night before he left, I remember trying to keep him home and just trying to share this pot of gumbo that we were building, and he was trying to piece his life back together and go to community college and, you know, get a job and do all the things that I was leading by good example, because I was going to college at the time and piecing my life together and rebuilding cars and whatnot. And, you know, tragedy struck, and that really struck a chord in me. And I didn't understand it. You know, I questioned God. I questioned myself, what kind of friend I was, to the example that I was leading, to what I could have done to make things different.
So, like, I've been through a ridiculous amount of loss as well. Sometimes telling people the stories of things that I've seen happen, it almost sounds surreal. And so let me say this in reference to dealing with loss. It's only in retrospect do you wind up blaming yourself. You know what I mean? It's like when you're with that person and you don't see them for a couple weeks or something like that, it's no big deal.
Absolutely.
But as soon as that person's life gets taken away, you start asking yourself, was it my fault?
Absolutely.
If I had been there maybe a little bit closer, if I had reached out one more time, could I have been there with them doing something that prevented them from being in that car accident or whatever it is?
Absolutely.
And that's a normal place to go.
Absolutely.
And it takes a lot of repetition to get that out of your head because it's going to come back whether you want it to.
Oh, absolutely, and it has. But I'm built beyond that.
Yeah.
I'm built beyond that because now, where I've come to realize in life, because that was in 2009. That was in 2009 that I lost my best friend Brett Crystal to that car accident while he was drinking.
I love that you did. I love that you did that. I'm sorry, but this is just like a thing that's stuck in my head. It's like they say that every person dies twice. Once when their body stops their heart beating, and the last time is when the last person says their name for the very last time.
Absolutely.
And so when I gave my boy Steve eulogy, I just ended on Steve Zestopel's name, just at the end.
Absolutely.
Steve Zestopel. So anyways, that's just funny, dude.
So did I. It's a crazy thing.
Yeah.
You know, when I went to his eulogy to tell my interactions with him and what they meant to me. You know what I'm saying? And then 2011, we lost another really good buddy that we grew up with, that we shared common ground with, to an asthma attack. And this dude was one of the most wildest dudes, John Park, one of the most wildest dudes that you'll meet. But at the moment that he's trying to change his life, and I'm bringing him to my mechanic's house to work on cars and to get away from the lifestyle that he once lived, and he's developing a new skill in life, he dies of an asthma attack on my mechanic's porch, where my car's at to this day that I'm bringing out this summer. He dies on the porch. You know what I'm saying? 2011. That struck a chord. If that wasn't another wake-up call for me, I keep going into my own world and oh, poor me, and this has happened to those around me, and I'm a victim of my circumstances and environment. And then 2013 strikes. That's when the Lord, what I like to say, had enough of my BS, had enough of my excuses, had enough of my transgressions, had enough of blaming others and not being present in my own life and taking responsibility for what I've done and what I've been through. So he sat me down. He sat me down on a timeout. You know, I was going through well, let me start off this. Okay, so at this point in 2013, I had lost two best friends. I had been through a world of things on my own. But at that time in life, I thought that I had it all. I had a home, multiple cars, crotch rocket, jet skis, dirt bikes, two beautiful children. They're doing all the little league sports that you can do, funded by me. I'm coaching. I'm going a step further than coaching. I'm buying uniforms. I'm buying trophies that the league's not providing, but it was all dirty. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I think I know what you're saying. I'm not sure. Maybe I can.
I'm gonna tell you.
Maybe I can try to rephrase. Were you projecting your own ego onto their successes, onto their experiences?
Absolutely, and I went hard to do that.
Yeah.
To the point to where I'm a family man during the day. I'm this dude in the community, but at night I'm running the streets. I'm selling drugs. I'm robbing people.
You were involved in crime and selling drugs at the time. Yeah.
Absolutely. And
is that how you wound up buying crotch rockets?
Absolutely, absolutely, all of that. I was taking trips back and forth from Las Vegas to Spokane with pain pills. I got hooked up in I was working at the time that I first got introduced to this. I had a buddy that actually approached me and was like, "Man, Anthony, I know that you know a lot of people. This is a new thing that's going on. You could take one of your work checks, put it with us, and we can go do this, and it'll equal that." And there was a big lucrative business in this, but I was selling my soul, and my heart was never with it. It was never with it. I always felt that something was wrong. But as long as the money was coming in, my family really wasn't saying nothing. They weren't seeing much. They were allowed to see that I was throwing money at every situation. And but at the same time, I was suffering for it. I was having nightmares the whole time of doing it. And then leading up to my accident, I remember having just vivid dreams and nightmares and just unrest. And the day that I took my motorcycle and put it at my dad's house, the night before I had gotten to almost got pulled over, but I ran from them, and it was raining out a little bit, and I put the bike up. This was in June. And then the next day, the sun broke. There was an opportunity that I had to get out there and indulge in my foolish ways. And I fired up my bike. My daughter and the mother of my children went to a luau, and they dropped me off where my bike was, and I jumped on that thing.
What was the bike? Just out of curiosity.
CBR 600.
Okay, so that's,
But-
it's
but-
pretty big bike.
Oh, especially it was built up. You know,
Yeah.
it had power command. It was chipped up. It was tuned up, and good tires. And it was a street bike. It was a serious street bike. And mind you, I never even had a motorcycle before. And I'm just trying to keep
You went
up.
straight to the 600.
Straight to the 600, you know,
a
and
big
I'm just trying to keep up in a facade. And I always thought that I wanted a bike, and a lot of the movies and, you know, the glitz and glamour of this thought that would make me even cool for what I was doing. And,
Sure.
you know, I was just blindsided by what I thought that made me important and cool. And it was all a lie. And I understood that the moment that I got hit, without going into everything that led me up to that moment, which was no good, I got a real sense of understanding. The moment that I seen that I'm going through the intersection and I see the shadow of an SUV upon me, it was this reoccurring dream that I had of a child of being attacked by a bear. I knew that was my time right there. I knew it was my time. And right when I seen it, you know, a lot of people say they're going to dump the bike, throttle through it, all that. You're not going to do nothing when it's on top of you. And when fate's on top of you, all you could do is hold on and say, good Lord, I just wanted the chance to see my kids again. And I didn't realize it until it
In
was
that
on me.
split second,
That split
life
second.
slows down like crazy.
Slow
doesn't
down.
it?
I mean, there's a quantum physics of energy and reality and multiverses that we could spend a whole segment on that I believe in, that I've learned through this experience that allows me to shape these values and beliefs. But I knew what time it was right when that was on me. And right in that moment of impact, I didn't feel a thing. All I could do was hear the crumple of the bike. I could hear my body being destroyed. I felt it. Or I didn't feel it. I just heard it. It was all a hear. And then it all went black. And then my first conscious moment of reality is when this gentleman, which I still don't know to this day, I don't even know the name of the person that hit me, but I'll never forget the voice and the touch that I felt. That touch that I felt for the man checking for my pulse and looking for me, that energy that I felt from his touch and asking if I'm okay was enough when my soul is slipping on to the great beyond the sky, was enough for me to hold on to and listen to his voice. And he was telling me, hold on, brother, you got to breathe. And I kept hearing him say, don't do that, don't do that. So I knew that something was wrong, but I didn't know. And then he tells me an ambulance is coming. I hear the ambulance come up. I still don't feel anything. I can't see anything. I just hear everything. I could feel the rotation of the earth. I can hear the sprinkler. I could hear children's laughter. I've heard the buzz of insects. And I'm stuck in this realm. And when they get out, the paramedics, and they roll me on to the board, I remember hearing a countdown and a roll, and then boom, I was out. My adrenaline shuts off, the pain sets in. I was done. I was dead. Next thing you know, I'm waking up in the ambulance. They're putting their defibrillators up. They're putting their oxygen mask up. They're pumping on it, and I'm just trying to catch a breath. And at this point, which I don't know, but come to find out through the MRI, I was like 3 blocks away from Holy Family, but they had to medevac me to Sacred Heart, which is a Trauma 1 center, that I had broke every single rib. On one side, multiple fractures, which the bones split in many different places. I had frontal lobe hemorrhaging. My clavicle was shattered, broke both hands. My spine was snapped in half, just folded backwards like a lawn chair. And,
Were you wearing protective gear of any kind on the bike?
No.
You have a helmet on?
Dude, I had a helmet, thank God. Let me tell you else what I was wearing. Jordans, some shorts, and a Jordan jersey.
Classic Anthony Horn.
Classic ignorant ego, which most brothers just want to show they behind on the bike.
Yeah.
I won't get into that. We want to look cute on it. We weren't thinking about what happens if we're... But that's a whole other segment. But my ego allowed me to ride around in shorts, in Jordans, in a freaking Jordan jersey. All right? Pocket full of money, pocket full of dope. I'm winning. I'm good. Nothing could touch me. I could pay out of any problems. Of
course.
Nothing matters.
Yeah, it feels good.
Feels good. But at this moment, it meant nothing. It was all just a giant lie. And I almost paid for it with my life. And I remember when they rolled me onto that board and I felt that conscious awareness of living, that the Lord told me, I'm sorry for anybody that doesn't believe or anybody that has a different belief.
No apologies.
But the Lord shook me to my core. When I came to, and he told me to be still, in that moment that I rode 4 blocks to a Holy Family, and I got to get in their MRI unit, and they got to see all the internal hemorrhaging, the collapsed lung, all the blood that I've lost, my body shutting down, that they said, we can't handle you here. We got to get you to Sacred Heart, which is trauma 1, and fly in a surgeon immediately to get to this damage and get this man in ICU. It was revelation.
So when you're in this position, right? You're in the hospital. You're coherent to a degree. I'm sure. I'm sure you're on morphine or whatever.
Oh no, not even.
No?
Not even. They didn't put nothing in me until I got to Sacred Heart, because my internal organs would have shut down and would have died if they gave me any sedative. I had to fight through this, Lee. I had to fight through my body dying. I felt like I was dying. I told them I'm dying. Please do something. I told them, please do something.
Do you think maybe in that moment, had you given up, was there an option for you to give up and die?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. When my life was weighed in the balance, when they rolled me onto that stretcher and adrenaline kicks in and reality happens and adrenaline dies off, that's when my body became weak. And that's when I went out. That's when they're hanging up the defibrillators. That's when they're putting on the mask. That's when they're pulling the phone out of my pocket and saying, do you know who you are, what you've been through, what's happening?
Right.
All I could say is, bro. That's all I could say is, bro. That was my brother. And I think that's subconsciously, that was the last person I wanted to see again so I could say sorry.
Sure.
Because that was the person I put my most fears and insecurities into.
Yeah.
He was the younger one, so he got the brunt and had to live in my shadow. And he took a lot of beatings and a lot of excuses based on my behalf, or a lot of lies on my behalf, so someone could take the blame for my transgressions. That I got to feel every insecurity that I put into him, every person I've ever bullied, any person that I could have told you I love you to that I didn't, every sorry I should have said, everything that I could have done right and out from the heart and love, that I realized that I was going to die right there. I wasn't afraid because I was going to die, because I was going to see my kids again, because I was going to see my beautiful family, or all these cool material things that I amassed, or these women, or any of that. I was going to die with regret. I was going to die with regret, and I was truly sorry for what I have done, because at that point I understood how weak and vulnerable we all are to this body and this life and this experience. And for me, there was no more excuses, because my karma finally caught up to me. And I understood that right there in that moment. I understood that. When I came to in Sacred Heart after I was in ICU for 13 days, which was another world inside of itself, the doctor was beating around the bush about me being paralyzed. She was talking about how you got the heart of a lion, and we had to give you 11 units of blood transfusion for all the internal bleeding and your collapsed lung, and you had multiple rib fractures on this side that just missed your heart, and whoopty-wompty. I knew she wanted to tell me I was paralyzed. I seen it in her eyes. She was tearing up. The hospital was a mass of people that actually cared about me for me, not for this facade that I put up. So she understood how important that I didn't even realize that I was at the time. And she wanted, and I said, you don't even have to tell me. I already know I'm paralyzed. And I get it. I accept it. And I deserve it. And I told her, I get it. It's fine. It's okay. Will I ever walk again? She said, it'll be a miracle. 1 in a million. That's what this woman told me. And when I had to sit there in that 13 days of ICU and coming back in before I even had a chance, and all the tubes I had in my body and all this stuff that's being pumped out of my body, the internal bleeding, and my body just healing enough to be able to go to St. Luke's and even start a life of rehabilitation, that I had to sit there and live in the hole that I dug for myself.
I'm like really curious about this moment in time where you have to come to terms with the fact that your entire reality that you knew, the person you knew, the activities you enjoyed, that was gone. It's almost like watching yourself die in a way.
That's exactly what it is, Lee. I did die in order for me to be rebirthed. The moment that you can't walk, the moment that you don't use a bathroom like you used to, that you used to make love, that you used to pride yourself on, how good you were at sports, on the woman that you could take down, or the many of the women that you could take down, or any of them, or the ego that came in place with all of the gifts that an individual like myself had, the gift of gab, the gift of look, the athletics, the body, all of that came with it, came crashing down, okay? Then I had to live with that for 4 years. Not only did this accident not wake me up, I suffered from depression.
Of course.
From that realization that this was just a lie. These things that I believed in myself and I held self-value to meant nothing.
Did you find light at the end of the tunnel?
Oh, I'm finding it now, Lee.
But like in that period in time, like what pulled
Lee.
you? It's like I see some crazy light in your eyes every time I speak to you.
Sure. It wasn't
At what
always there.
what point did that ignite?
It wasn't always there.
I can believe that.
I'm going to tell you right now, the doors that I had slammed in my face, my family that said, we don't care that you're in a wheelchair. Your transgressions and the light that was extinguished from my eyes, me giving up on myself, allowed them to give up on me. Because they didn't want to be faced with the reality of their golden boy that they lifted up on a pedestal fell so low, and all of them are to blame because they watched me self-destruct. None of them stepped in to say, hey, Aunt, this is how we should do it, or this is what you could do. They allowed me to do that because of the benefits they were receiving on my fruitless mission. But at the moment that I have my moment of clarity and realization that I had to get this together is when I got the call from my daughter's great-grandmother. She calls me and tells me that your daughter was caught with marijuana in her backpack. And I didn't believe that. My daughter is my little precious daughter. She was 12 at the time. And she was my precious little ballerina that I catered to, that I held, that was right here telling me every little story in her life and every little thing that she's went through. I couldn't believe that. So I had to go out there on my own to see firsthand what was going on. And there were some other things driven behind it. There was a dealer on that side of town that could get me a fix because I was dope sick at the time. And I killed two birds at one stone, right? Little did I know that would kick in place a burning desire that sets the foundation for where I'm at today. And that was when I went there and I looked in my daughter's eyes and I asked her, what's going on, daughter? What are you doing? Is this real? She said, yes, Dad, I got caught with weed. I'm not smoking it. I'm attempting to sell it because you or Mom can't get your shit together. And I just want to see you happy and us being a family again. It broke my heart. I started bawling like a little baby. And I tried to get her to talk to me, and she got enough of my tears. She got enough of my promises. She had enough of my lies and bullshit that she walked away from me and just left it all in a letter. My son comes sprinting. He wraps his arms around me. That little dude starts crying too. But my tears were bigger than his, and he knew that. So selfish of me to say. But I'm thankful that he had the spirit in him to see that. He grabs his little tackle box, his little fishing pole. He grabs me, and at this time I'm like almost 280 pounds. So overweight, not in this wheelchair, a raggedy old one. And this little dude grabs me and doesn't want me to see the pain that I'm receiving from my daughter. And her not caring about me at all. Well, she cared, but she was tired of everything. To not allow me to make an excuse or another lie to her, she was done with it. But my son pushed me along to give me a little bit of hope, and he worked me down. He was staying out in Coeur d'Alene with their grandmother, Sherry. And there's this little fishing dock off on the side. And he pushed me all the way down there. You know, going down, it's easy. And we sat up on the dock, and this little dude's jumping in the water. He's catching little clams and little snails, and he's tying up this line. And then we're just casting this line. This little dude is showing me the same essence that I grew up with that I didn't get to show him. By the time he was old enough to do these things, I was already paralyzed. I didn't get to show him these. I'm wondering where he learned this stuff from. And he got it from his grandfather, which is Mallory's dad, not my dad. And going out to the Tri-Cities, and he developed a skill and something that I didn't teach him. And he's re-showing me how to have a good time, and he's taking my mind off it subconsciously, not even knowing what he's doing, but he's lighting a fire in my belly. And at that moment that we catch 10 little sunfish, we catch 10 little sunfish, and then there's this little creepy shadow coming in on the side because he kept a sunfish on the line. Dude, it's a walleye. I never seen a walleye, or don't remember seeing a walleye from when I grew up on the farm and hanging out at my grandparents' house. That I didn't teach him about no walleye, but I seen this monster with these teeth, and he's stuck on this thing, and I'm trying to pull him in. My son wants to jump in to grab this big bastard.
That's so brave.
And he has spines and all kind of shit. I'm like, no, so I got it. He's like, Dad, you're not gonna reel it in with that pull, Dad. We gotta grab him and throw me the net. I'm like, son, no, I got this. And I'm yanking on this big bastard, and I'm trying to get him in. And then he snaps, boom, slap myself in the face with the pole, slashes off me. My son starts dying laughing. I start dying laughing. And he's like, and then it just hits me. I'm missing all of this. And that was the Lord showing me what I could be doing or what I could be missing out on. He gave me a quick example for my daughter, saying, your family will turn your back on you and you will miss out on everything, or you can enjoy this for this moment right here.
Sure.
And it still didn't hit me yet until I was starting to get really, really dope sick at this time, needing a fix because I'm still in an active addiction.
Because
I
mean, I assume you're addicted to opiates at the time,
absolutely,
right?
absolutely heavily. And I'm waiting on.
Were you taking Percocet?
I was taking
Oxycontin?
hydrocodone, Oxycontin, fentanyl,
Fentanyl?
everything underneath the sun that they could possibly give you as an opiate.
Doesn't get much worse than fentanyl, does it?
Absolutely, it does. Heroin. It wasn't until I got cut off all of that because I wasn't accountable for anything that I started doing heroin and methamphetamine for 9 months after I got cut off. And I'm in the middle of that heroin and methamphetamine addiction when I have the.
This is after there's no more refills in the prescriptions,
Absolutely,
right? Yeah.
absolutely. And then that's what
Isn't
brings,
that the big problem right now, though?
huge.
Isn't that the problems that are just cutting people off and then
Well-
they're addicted to drugs already?
Absolutely, and I'm gonna get right to that. I'm gonna get right to that because I feel like I found the recipe, and if I could do it, anybody could do it. But right at the end of that, on that dock with my son, the moment of clarity that truly came for me was a hike back up the path that we came to get there. This little dude is fighting tooth and nail to get me 280 pounds, damn near pushing 300, in a wheelchair that I definitely shouldn't have been in. It was a loner. And this dude's fighting tooth and nail, sweating, pushing his feet in the sand, giving all his grit. And I'm trying to get up this hill, and I'm trying, and we finally get there by the grace of my son and my little half-ass effort as a push. And then that little dude falls out once he realizes my brakes are on and I'm at safety. He falls out, dying laughing. I expected him to be mad at me for the lack that I have in a father and my own insecurities. I expected him to feel and understand, but he didn't. He started laughing, and I said, dude, what's so funny? It wasn't that I was addicted, which he knew. It wasn't that I was weak. He just wanted to make light of the search. He said, Dad, your fat ass needs to lose some weight. Knowing dang well this dude don't cuss or go through that like that. At that moment, I understand the diversion that he was trying to lay because he's seen me giving up. And that little dude, when right then and there, I understood that it was time. I understood it, everything. Right there, I didn't touch anything else. I called a ride, and I had them bring me to my dad's house, which they were done with me too. Through everything in addiction, you lose the trust of your family. And they didn't allow me to stay in there. I had to sleep outside of their house for 3 days, going through cold turkey of quitting opiates and everything that I was doing. During the third day that I get up, take a shower, and I have a little strength to do that, I pass out. They call the ambulance, and I go to Sacred Heart, and that kicks off my journey. I'm just honest with the doctors that I was an addict and I was struggling, and told them that I needed and wanted help, and they referred me to STARS, which is a detox program, and from there they referred me to the Sanctuary, which is an intense inpatient program, which allowed me to really speak to some counselors and unearth these issues that led me to addiction and brought me to where I was in my current state of life, and I took advantage of that. I took full advantage of that. I stuck to my mission. I grinded my butt off. I ran into some problems along the way from that transition from treatment to where I'm at now. But that's just an old saying, you know, it's 10 miles in the woods, it's 10 miles out. And I just thank God for people that are in this group specifically, like the Rick Clarks and the Chris Morse and all the other people that I had the wonderful opportunity of meeting that came and found me. You know, when I was homeless after this, because I stayed with my grandfather for 6 months after I got home from treatment, but my uncle suffers from addiction, was an alcoholic, and his demons were just becoming very toxic, and I had to get out of there. You know, I couldn't grow there. So that forced me stepping outside of my comfort zone and trying to build my own. And during one of the hardships and one of my last days at a hotel that I could possibly afford on my Social Security income, Rick Clark reaches out to me and says that he's seen some of my Facebook posts and my lives and whatnot, and that he wanted to hear my story. And he brought me to the steam plant and sat down with me, and I was able to tell him everything. And you know, him pulling through with the MTFU members, and they got the news out and did a car wash for me and a fundraiser that allowed me to be in a hotel until I was able to find housing and get on my own feet. And
was MTFU a thing at the time? Did he reach out to you?
They were, but he was real cautious on how he approached me. You know what I'm saying? He didn't want to scare me away or throw too much on me.
Right.
So he just kind of individually reached out to me and told me about this group that he sees me that would be a good fit for me. And that I could reach out to some more gentlemen.
It was basically Rick that kind of introduced you to MTFU?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
When you first found out about the group itself, did you look on the Facebook page? What was your impression of it as you saw it?
I didn't even know what it meant.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm sitting at my grandpa's house like, MTFU, what is that? And he's an ex-military man. So he said, it probably means man the F up. I remember hitting Rick Clark. If I was going to my phone right now, I could probably show the exact date and time that I asked him, what does that mean?
Sure.
And then he told me, and I was like, Pops, you're right. That's what it means. And then not shortly after that, they hold the car wash, and the news came out, and I was able to tell a little bit of my story and drive a lot of traffic to that. They put me in a hotel that gave me enough stability to get out on my own and get my own place and get to where I'm at today.
And as you've gotten to know the group more, you've been at a lot of events. You're always on social media.
Yeah.
When someone sees you wearing this shirt, they're going to ask you, what is that? What is your answer?
Well,
it's it's honestly the hardest question, because there's so many different ways to answer this question, and they're all probably right.
For me,
but what is MTFU to you?
For me, it wasn't. For me, MTFU, depending on the setting and the environment, when we're out there in our social groups and it's us fellas and we're looking for that bond and unity, it's man the F up. Okay? It's man the F up. And that just means standing on principles, morals, and values that allow you to be a man. And from what I've seen inside of this group, it's reaching back to the man behind you. It's seeing somebody that's going through it, recognizing it, acting on it, even when they're afraid to talk, that you're reaching out your hand, showing them how to man them up and express themselves and say that, hey, I'm not doing well.
Right.
I'm not doing well.
That's being a real man right there.
Absolutely. And in turn, this group showed you, hell, we're not all doing well. None of us are. We're all trapped in this body, and we're going through certain things, and some of us have advanced into different stages in the game that allow the ones that are behind them to rise.
I'm sorry that I'm not a bigger part of MTFU. I'm sorry that I don't contribute as much. And to me, it's almost like a glass of water doesn't know that it's part of an ocean.
Absolutely.
But an ocean can move the whole planet.
Absolutely.
And so that's kind of what MTFU is to me. Everybody has their own specific story. It means something to them. Absolutely. Your journey with the group is very different than mine. It's very different than Methi's. It's very different. For sure. And I'm speechless. I mean, I don't know. Your story is just really fascinating to me. If I can say a couple things honestly, I've got friends that are dead from opiates, and I've got friends that are currently in inpatient programs in Hawaii from opiates that were in not even close to as bad as an accident that you were in, and weren't on probably nearly as many of them as you were. There is an element of strength inside of you that I'm sure participates greatly in your faith in God. I'm sure it participates also greatly in your faith within yourself.
Absolutely.
I'm sure it also participates in a great curiosity for the rest of the wonders of the world that have yet to come to you.
Absolutely.
Because if you've given up and if you've seen it all by now, then there's nothing else to live for.
Absolutely.
But for you to climb over these mountains, these are mountains to climb over.
Absolutely.
Right. For you to get over those, I mean, I can't say the words that are inside of my heart right now, because there are so many people that have given up with 1/10 of the adversity that you've faced, and yet here you are being a beacon of positivity.
Absolutely.
There are some people in life that are tugboats, and there are some people that are lighthouses.
Absolutely.
And when somebody is stranded at sea, some people go and drag them out, and some people remain as lighthouses and show them the way.
Absolutely, Lee.
And that is,
How could I have said it better?
Dude, and that's all I want to be, is a beacon of light. If anybody doesn't learn anything from what they're going through, their life experience, at least learn from what I went through. At least allow me to be a beacon of hope that allows you to get beyond the confines of your physical condition, of your mindset, and what you've been through. Who you were, your past mistakes, transgressions, whatever, should not define your future and where you're going as an individual, because you haven't reached that yet. You don't know. The only thing that you could possibly know is fear. The only thing that you could possibly know is doubt, because we spend so much time there. We all have a little echo inside of us that has this inner dialogue with ourselves. It's going to give us so many reasons on why we should quit, on why we're not good enough, or why we don't deserve this. But forget that. There's a common ground that we all share. We all will go through it. Out of the Bible, out of all the hard books that I've read, out of all the understanding, I never seen one chapter that told me that this was going to be easy. The common ground was that there's fear, insecurities, doubts. We got to live beyond that. We got to think and have our hearts and our minds set on a desire that gives a driving force to build with our hands and our eyes and see the world a little bit differently from another perspective. And that the only way that we could do that is truly putting ourselves in each other's shoes and understanding where we've been and what we got through that shapes our perception.
absolutely.
And until we could do that, we're just corpses. We're just the walking dead.
Absolutely. I mean, you said it best yourself. Like, perspective is so important, and it's not your perspective that's always the most important one. Sometimes it takes a whole lot of confidence and self-knowledge to be able to
Absolutely.
look at life from somebody else's
Absolutely.
perspective.
Self-knowledge is everything.
And that was one of the reasons that I wanted to create this show in the first place, was because I think we only get a snapshot into someone's life when we see them at an event or when we see their posts on the internet. Of course, Facebook is just one of those vessels that allows you to choose what people see.
Absolutely.
And sometimes there's a lot more honesty and there's a greater picture in all of it.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
like, there's just so much value in yours. And there's so many people that face similar struggles, even without having been in a physical accident.
Right.
There are people that find themselves handicapped,
Absolutely.
even fully able-bodied, that aren't able to make that type of recovery.
I used to say that all the time. You know, through some people that would ask, dude, why are you doing this? Or why do you go so hard? Or, dude, I couldn't do this. I don't know what I would do. I'd say that's where you're trapped at. You're more paralyzed than I'll ever be. Because in the mind, it's a paralyzing state. That right there will keep you from reaching your goals, understanding your destiny, or it'll keep you in addiction, or you'll die. You know, just like this MTFU group. For me, it's a sense of unity that it brings. And until a person can feel valued, appreciated, seen, and heard, then they'll die. Depression and misery is a lonely place, and regret is the things that are our biggest adversary and our biggest enemy, and one thing that'll keep us in a stronghold. But through groups like this, through me, you, so many other individuals that share their story and own their self open and honestly, it'll spread like wildfire, allowing people to open up and be vulnerable and to show more than what they think society or the community or their peers want to see. You know, and that's my whole message. That's why show me in these leg braces trying to walk, or, you know, the pull-ups that I'm doing.
I mean, to be honest, you walked up the stairs to my house.
Right.
I mean, did you ever think that was possible back in the day?
No, dude. Just 16 months ago, I didn't. When I first started physical therapy, it was just to get up in a standing frame alone, or
Yeah.
to do the hand cycle bike, to learn some balance stuff in the chair, to learn how to get in the chair from the ground. Little did I know I'd be up in leg braces, in a walker, going upstairs, playing wheelchair basketball, for crying out loud. You know, just so many possibilities that I'm reaching, and the common denominator behind it all was me. I was more paralyzed in my mind than I was in this body. And now that I'm free of mind and I'm getting comfortable in this body and I'm enjoying this wheelchair, and I'm realizing that legs are overrated because it's all in the hips. What do you need legs for? Then, you know, I was more paralyzed mentally than I am physically. And now that I'm owning this, the Lord's sense of humor allows me to say, get up and walk. As hard as it is, as much as I want to quit, I can't, because I know now it's beyond me. It's beyond me. It's for the people that can learn from this and grow from this and internalize their own situation and say, hey, we see this old handy capable gentleman going through his struggles. What's my excuse? There shouldn't be.
And your
shouldn't
mindset
be
is
that.
crazy. To me, you seem like a happy person. Are you a happy person again?
Absolutely. I'm finally living life. I'm finally enjoying it, you know, and that comes through a lot of spirituality, meditation. Just my journey within has created such a stable foundation that allows me to not have an enemy without. I don't have to be moved on a person's opinion of me. I don't have to be moved on somebody else's struggle. I've created my own space and have my own. I'm sticking to my own story. And if you don't like mine, write your own. If you can learn from mine, then jot as many pages as you would like. Just invest into your own.
Absolutely.
Because my story is just mine, and that's all I could do. And if I could do it, you could do it. If you're a little, if you're not trapped by the confines of my physical condition, or even if you have some, just let me show you a way out of that, or show you a way that you can work beyond your current state. And that's all through the mind, body, and soul. And you know, for me, it worked on a higher power, and I had to lean on something, because if I stayed within my own mind and my own heart and my own flesh, then every day I wouldn't get up and enjoy the sun or beat my alarm clock to my goal and my destiny. I wanted to eat healthy. I wanted to exercise as much. And
How much weight have you lost?
dude, I've lost it. Gosh, at least 80 pounds.
Is it hard to lose weight when you're paralyzed? I mean, that's a dumb question, right? But
Dude, normally you would think, but for me, I made it look easy.
Cause I'm
Dude,
trying to put myself in your shoes. I'm like sitting in a wheelchair. I'm like, if this guy's complaining about not being able to lose weight,
Yeah.
and he could literally go outside and run the weight off.
It's straight up.
I don't know. I mean, you just,
Well,
I don't know.
well,
You're
well,
wildly
well,
impressive to me,
Well,
dude.
well, for me, my reasoning's a little bit different than the next, and that's why for me, whatever somebody's going through, or if they think that their struggle's less than mine, I don't think so, because within them is a universe and a reason of doubt that will allow them to quit. But for me, I understand that voice, it just takes a little bit of listening to and then tuning into your own spiritual awakening that allows you to find an idea that gives a burning desire to chase a dream or a goal. And the body searches for a state of perfection. Nobody likes after you've ate a soggy cheeseburger, or you're super hungover, or you're dope sick, or you yelled at one of your loved ones when you know you should have hugged them, or just shut up for a damn minute. That nobody feels good in that state. Search for the feeling. Look for the things that make you feel good and pay attention to those. Be equally aware of the things that make you feel bad, so you understand them as they come, that you stray away from them. Otherwise, you're just stuck in this limbo of just going on based off feeling and emotion, or this happened to you or that happened to you, and you're not growing or building. The only way to find true happiness is to dive within yourself, dig deep to hit that treasure chest, open it up, find your treasure. It'll radiate to the world, and once you love yourself, so will everybody around you.
So you are
build.
amazing with your ability to express what you feel in words as well. Like, you're eloquent beyond belief. I mean, I had to pause and write this down because it's rude for me to look away from you. But if you think your struggle is less than mine, then you're wrong, because inside of you is a universe.
Right.
That's gorgeous.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, you do realize that you have a career in motivational speaking just waiting for you, right?
I mean, I really haven't. It's just based on you telling me that now, and some of the people that tap in and comments off the social platform, which I believe is more than a social platform for me, because I'm sharing myself. I'm not lying about nothing.
I mean, just as like a point of reference,
I don't
I
know.
traveled to 56 countries over 6 years as a professional public speaker.
Wow.
And I could not do what you just did.
Wow.
So if there's people that believe in you in this room, well, there's at least 5 of them now.
Wow.
And if I can be really honest with you, bro, like, I don't see any limits to your potential.
Absolutely.
So I don't know if you've got goals. I'm sure you've got some pretty defined ones.
Absolutely, I do.
And
I do.
it's only a matter of time until you're going to achieve them.
Absolutely, and I would love just throughout this journey has allowed me to understand how important I am to myself, and to understand my self-worth. And it's based on my hard work and the way that I express myself that I'm learning that is very important, because I've been able to reach to some young individuals that have been through some things, that have been able to tap into my page via their parents or however they stumbled upon it, that are finding hope and inspiration. And then when I go talk to some of the youth at St. Luke's and the different settings that I have, that I see the brightness in their eyes and the people that are around them. That's like, dang. Sometimes I just get caught up in it, just living my life.
Sure.
Sometimes I just get caught up in it. But when I go to sleep at night and I sit back and I look at it, or I look back on my Facebook, and that allows me to gauge progress because it's tangible evidence of it that something big's going on. And I just want to live my story and express it in a way that will allow people to live theirs, because I truly believe that a great community in a great world, if we're going to evolve and change, it starts within the home. If we can fix depression within ourselves, if we can fix unhealthy habits within ourselves, if we can renew our mind, body, and spirit within ourselves, we can put it in our children. Our children can put it in their friends. We could check all these problems before it leaves the door. Goodbye school shootings. Goodbye depression. Goodbye confusion and gender and the social network that has us so consumed as people that social encounters become awkward because people have trouble holding a conversation, looking each other in the eyes, and it's change, man. And I just want to express myself in a way that allows others to do that, and I just want to move from the heart. That's all I want to do.
You've done it beautifully here tonight.
Thank you.
I can't tell you thank you enough times for coming on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Your story resonates with me and so many more, and we're blessed as friends and as group members to have you part of the crew. Absolutely.
Awesome, man. I'm so thankful to be here. I appreciate it. I think a sense of unity and love heals all. That's my biggest message. Love heals all. Be yourself, be true. This MTFU group, it offers a sense of unity. It offers a sense of belonging. I've sat
a safe space.
A safe space. I've watched gentlemen that are unheard of reach out and wear this logo in a way that expresses it as a whole. And if they feel motivation to do that within themselves, to step beyond their own confinements of what they're going through, just to help somebody else, then that speaks volumes of what's going on here. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than you. It's bigger than Chris. It's bigger than Rick. It's bigger than the Ties and the Jason Whipples. I mean, we could do this all day. It's bigger than any of us as individuals.
It's true.
It's a community that's resonating, that's growing, and of course, that's going to be faced with adversity because it's the whole yin and yang. There's good and bad. We're gonna deal with that.
Dude, this group is 2 years old.
That's what I'm saying.
A lot even.
That's what I'm saying.
And we didn't even figure anything out until within this past year. Like,
Right.
everything you see now is within like the past 12 months.
And I feel like they found me. I found y'all at the right time, and I just want to do my part, how little or how big it may be. I just want to do my part. I don't want to get hung up in all politics or, get caught up in the name or the outside perception. I just want to be a living body inside of the group that infects love and peace and harmony, because we could all sit here and jot down the things that make us afraid, weak, or tired, or want to give up. We could all do that all day long. That's the human experience. But let's reach beyond that. Let's go beyond that voice of reasoning and doubt that tells us to stop. Let's go beyond what we think, what we want somebody to hear or see beyond us. Let's just show in our action. Anybody can sit here and talk. We take the cotton out of our ears and put it in our mouth. Just be quiet and listen and watch what's going on and see, absorb, and move together as one collective unit. Then we could show our city. We could show our world. We could show the whole entire universe and make our establishment as human beings and say, we're here, we figured it out. Let's get rid of the war. Let's get rid of the chaos. Let's get rid of that. Let's travel amongst the stars. Let's journey beyond universes. Let's get beyond this simple way of thinking. Otherwise, the masses are going to continue running it. We're going to stay numb, dumb, and unconfident, and we're not going to travel anywhere beyond our little means. I mean, at any time we can scratch together a little dirt, throw it in the universe, and have another Earth. But, we're too trapped here, and fear has allowed us to research the things that are in the interest of certain individuals and give an answer to without asking
what's it really all about? What's it really all for? Where are we really going? Forget that. Let's live here. Let's live now. Let's love each other. Let's grow. Let's learn. Let's be efficient and move from our hearts. That way our tangled web in our mind doesn't get in the way and create fear that doesn't allow us to reach to each other and reach within ourselves to go a little further than we're giving. Because all of us knows deep down inside, hell, fuck, we could have did a couple more reps. Hell, I could have finished that paper. Man, I could have walked up and said, hey, how you doing? My name is such and such. How are you? Or how's your day? What are you going through? And actually care enough to look them in the eyes and sit there long enough to listen without going to the phone. And say,
Wondering what's going on in your own
some
world.
came up.
Yeah.
Let me see what's going on here.
Dude, you're a wild inspiration.
Crazy.
I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
And we'll wrap up pretty quick here after that.
Absolutely.
Are you going to be at the MTFU 2-year anniversary party?
When, where, why, how?
It's on the 30th, so it's a couple weeks from now, end of March, Saturday the 30th, the Roxy.
Dude, you can bet your sweet rear end I'll be there at the Roxy.
Good. Good.
All I know is I can't offer a lot, but I can offer a good time. And we're not here for a long time. We're here for a good time.
No, it's
brother.
dude. I just love you
Let's
being.
do
I just
it.
love you being around, man.
Let's do
I'm so happy that we are
Absolutely.
friends. I'm so
Me too.
happy that
Me
you
too,
came
man.
and got to say what you did, and
Absolutely.
it was
Thank
so
you.
beautiful and authentic.
Thank you, sir.
I'm starting my mountaineering career, and I'll tell you what,
Absolutely.
bro. The top of the highest mountain I could potentially climb to, I'll stand on the summit of that shit and look up to you.
Man, dude. Love you, brother.
Love you
and my
too.
one message to you, you got legs, use them, fucker. Use them.
About to.
You don't understand how good they are until they gone. We just go through the motion of putting a pant on or going to the bathroom with that. Let me tell you something. When you really got to focus and you got to transfer, you got to get in a certain position or think a certain way to really bring you to your senses, you'll enjoy it. So I just want you to step like you've never stepped before. Grind like you never grind before. And if I could get up your damn stairs, which is a mountain to me in my paralytic condition, you better climb your ass up the mountain.
I'm going.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you,
I
brother.
hate to do this to you, John,
Absolutely.
but John always finishes out our shows.
My man, John, finish that thing,
I
y'all.
have one thing to
Yes,
say.
sir.
I just want to shake your hand.
Yeah, dude.
Appreciate you, man.
I was
Thank
crying
you.
my ass off
Yeah,
in that
thank
train
you.
over there.
Thank you, man.
Appreciate
Appreciate you
you.
guys. Thank you for
Thank you
having me.
guys for tuning in.
Appreciate y'all. Thank you guys.
It's nothing else left to say. We'll see you on the 30th.
30th.
Love you
October.
guys.
Love you. MT.